And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wartburg and Fusion Entertainment Review. It's episode number 40. Here we're going to be talking about The Batman. We're recording this on March 5th. It's a Saturday after we've both seen the movie. And joining me, as always, is my co host, Patrick, aka Mr. Fusion.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hope you had a pleasant week. Let's talk Batman.
We are
The
talking.
Batman.
We are talking The Batman over here
Okay.
live at twitch.tv/MrWartburg, where we actually just had a resub from Chris, who's coming in here after finishing watching Picard season 2 episode 1, which I'll get into in a little bit when we talk about like what we've been watching and playing and all of that good stuff. So we're coming in hot. I saw The Batman opening night Thursday night for me in Mason City, which is our local theater me and Joey go to. Saw it on the big LDX screen. It was freaking awesome, and it was great to like have that experience because it's been 3 months really since Spider-Man.
Mhm.
And that was the last time I really went to one of those like big, movies. Because generally January and February, pretty dead periods for months or for movies. So it's been a bit, and it was nice to be back in the theater. And apparently, it's pretty popular, like feeling for that because the movie did quite well.
Yeah.
So Fusion, before we get into the Batman a little bit, as we alluded to, we generally do what we're watching, what we're playing, what we're reading, what we're up to,
Sure.
pop culture wise, in the grand scheme of things since our last recording. And for us, it's been about a month since we recorded a show.
Yeah. Pretty
Actually,
close to
no,
it. Yeah.
3 weeks. About
Three.
3 weeks.
Weeks.
Because yeah, me and Joey did our Uncharted episode since we saw that.
Mhm.
So what have you been up to since our last recording?
Let's see here. I've got one more episode to go into the first season of The Expanse. I'm liking it. It's different.
Oh, you're right
So,
where it's about to like
yeah.
really turn.
So don't spoil it for me. I'm gonna watch that here. Hopefully in the next, probably by the end of this weekend, I'll finish that up. Since last time we recorded, we gave that update about the Fallout TV Amazon TV
Oh
series.
yeah.
Well, actually, that Saturday morning after we recorded, I got the itch to play Fallout 3, man. So I downloaded it on my PC, uh, installed a non-green mod. It takes away the green look to Fallout 3, which it's not awful, but it can get a bit of annoying, just like that orange tint with Fallout New Vegas. It's a little too much for me, but it made it feel better. But I've been playing that, man. If you look at me on Discord or on Steam playing a game, it's been Fallout 3, man. I've been playing it every day at this point, and I'm loving it. I really am. It's just hearing Three Dog on the radio. It just was like I feel it just nostalgia kicked in, man. It's good stuff. Um, rewatched Deadpool 2 the other night. Such a funny movie, man. I really hope we do get a a true to the vision for Deadpool 3. I hope Disney really doesn't cut the legs out of Ryan Reynolds and the team that'll be heading over that. And that's really it, man. Just doing that and playing Fallout. That's really it. Went
Yes.
back. I did one night. I went back and read the old Extinction Agenda, which was an X-Men X Factor storyline from the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s. It was a good story. It just felt like I just every now and then I feel like, hey, let me just read this actual particular arc or this crossover, and I jumped on that one. So it's good stuff. Yeah. How about you
Well, yeah, but just gonna jump in and say, yeah, I've seen you on Steam going in and out
on Fallout?
on
Yeah.
Fallout 3. For me, I have it on Steam. I just hate the games for Windows Launcher, and like how you get the mods to make it work without that is fucking annoying. Like, it's in that and New Vegas, that kind of like 2007 to 2011 era. Basically, right before, like as soon as Skyrim came out, we like got over this era of
Yeah.
where they made games for PC, like Windows was trying to do this thing, games for Windows, where they were trying to wall garden within a walled garden approach,
Yeah.
and it really fucked up a lot of shit for Steam,
Mhm.
for a lot of different, other places where you could buy games at the time. And going back to play games in that era is such a hassle. Like Oblivion's the same way. It's just such a hassle to get it to run effectively on modern hardware because of that approach. It's a real kick in the balls. So I'll just go when I play it, I'll just play the Game of the Year edition that I have on the Xbox and just call it good.
Well, I will tell you, man, the Steam version, I haven't had any problems with it at all. And I've been going for forever to the Fallout Nexus, which is that website, the mod
Oh, and
website,
Nexus mods are
and
great.
Nexus mods, and been installing the mods there, and I haven't had any problem. It's running on ultra settings, on my system. No, I will complain though. I will say, over the past 2 weeks, I have had it crash randomly twice, just at just random moments. It just completely just stopped running. But outside of
Sounds like a
that, those
Bethesda
two
game.
times, yeah, yeah. I mean, come on, let's be real. Let's admit, as much as we loved the New Vegas story, that game was
Oh,
buggy as
that game
hell.
was full of jank.
I mean, there was a bug to start the game. Like when you woke up, there was a bug for like half the people that played it, like at launch. So yeah, I just, it's been fun. It's been fun. Very nostalgic going back, listening to the radio, but running the old missions. I will tell you though, you could see the graphics are very dated when you think about playing Fallout 4, which is now what, 7 years old.
Yeah, like yeah,
Um,
that in and of itself, like the jump between the two, like the
Amazing.
three New Vegas, which were made all like back to back, basically,
Yeah.
and then to four is like, god damn.
Yeah, from if you stack up 3 to 4, you're like, "Holy," just the color palette alone is like, "Wow, this is just," that and the character models, the character graphics, the
Which makes me
animations.
really like Bethesda. What are you doing? Give us the three in New Vegas remaster, like straight
Man,
up.
that'd be really nice.
Doesn't need to
That
be
would be
bigger.
really nice.
Doesn't need to be better. It just needs to be remade with a modern tool set.
I think people are kind of, remastered fatigued after the Rockstar disaster with Grand Theft Auto, though. I
But
think people are
you
just
give
a
it the
little
right
wary.
amount of care. I mean, look at the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
It's true.
Like they gave Mass Effect 1 the works, right? Like they got Unreal 3 to look fucking awesome. Unreal 3 is an ancient engine. It is
It really
ancient.
is.
That
Yeah.
game was in development in like 2004. It looks fucking solid right now in the
Yeah.
year 2021 when it came out. Like, damn, it was impressive. If they give it that level of care and attention to 3 in New Vegas, as a package deal, that would sell really well. And it would be awesome to have those games for a new generation of fans as they eventually prep for what I'm sure will if Microsoft is serious about having Obsidian make 5, if that rumor is real,
Yeah.
man, how great would that be to have, because it didn't even need to be Bethesda. Like Microsoft has enough, studios in their arsenal. They could bring somebody in to like give it the right amount of care. It'd be awesome.
Well, as far as we know, there hasn't been a push for a remaster. There could be one going off in the background, and it may be tied, and it could possibly be tied into the TV series. That's not going to come out till early next year at the
Oh, for
earliest,
sure. 'Cause they
probably.
got a lot of
So
production stuff to
they
do.
brought up. They just barely started pre-production. So I think, yeah, I think early next year at probably early spring at the absolute earliest. But maybe it's tied into that. They're going to give us a remaster. But you would
Oh,
hear
we would
some,
have heard by now for sure.
yeah, rumors of it, yeah. Yeah.
That
But
said,
yeah, man,
though,
it's good stuff, man. The story is phenomenal.
yeah,
It's just a great story.
yeah, like for us, they're not as big as, of course, as games now in terms of size and scope, but they're
Yeah,
dense. Like there's a lot to do.
yeah,
Like that's why those games have such a great resonance of being so dense for as big as they were at the time. Like, and that's what makes them great. So
yep.
for me, um, for games, I've actually been getting back into Apex Legends. I got the itch, new season. I might try to stream it tonight if my PC wants to cooperate. Last time I tried after getting this new rig, it did not. It was dropping a lot of frames, and I never knew why, because it looked great on my end, and my old rig ran it flawlessly at the exact same settings.
Hmm.
I have no idea what was causing the issue. So that'll be fun to troubleshoot. So maybe if you want to stick around live for that, you can do so.
Mm,
Uh, what else? What else? Watching a lot of college basketball. If you were
of
here for the
course.
pre-show, we talked college sports for a little bit because it's
Just
March, which means it's madness. Okay, it's
yes.
the best time of the year. We got conference tournaments going on. Power conference tournaments this coming weekend. End of season
Hmm.
storylines. Iowa going to Illinois this week, which is Iowa might get the double bye in the Big Ten tournament. Are you fucking kidding me? Like we lost so much, it's crazy. Like, and if it wasn't for Greg Gard, Fran McCaffrey's probably National Coach of the Year. Like for real, if they can finish out and get the double bye. But and then we got March Madness, which is the greatest tournament in sports, bar none. Period. Professional, amateur, doesn't matter. March Madness is the fucking best.
And here, I want to throw this quickly in there. This is a very interesting tournament because potentially the top three picks in the NBA draft are very elite. They're on very elite teams right now.
Yeah.
Auburn, Duke, and Gonzaga. Like we could be, they are essentially
And then you
showcasing
throw in
themselves.
Davis and Murray, and it's like,
Yeah.
and Wisconsin's a good team. I was peaking like hard right now.
No, no, no.
1.2, yeah.
Keegan Murray is, and I told you this sidebarred last week. Keegan Murray, I'm hearing, is getting a lot of love as a potential
Yes.
top 10 pick
Just so
now.
smooth.
I
It's like
mean,
he's not even
yeah,
trying. It's crazy.
because teams are like, hey, he's 22, but this guy has refined his game in college. Like, what?
Yeah.
He doesn't. We don't have to worry about him being undersized, not knowing how to play. Not knowing how to bang around physically. Like, he's gonna be
Yeah,
ready
he
to
went up
go.
against Luka Garza every single day.
He's
Like,
I
God.
he's not the same height, but I liken it to Tim Duncan coming out of Purdue, ready to go out of the box at 21 years
Yeah,
old,
makes
So,
sense. So that's a good
yeah,
comp for him. But
yeah,
that's enough sports talk here in the
yeah.
actual show. It's time to
Let's
get
go.
into the Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah, which you have to say it that way. You have to take it.
The
You have to take the
Batman.
pause and say it. The Batman. Right? You have to.
Batman.
It's the law. Okay, deal with it. So fusion, and of course chat sound off as we go here as well. What were your thoughts on the Batman? Big picture before we get into any major spoilers. Like,
Yeah.
did you like it? Did you love it? Was it underrated? Like, was it, or not underrated? Was it, did it fall under your expectations? Did it exceed them? Where are you at on it?
Uh, grossly over exceeded my expectations. I'm not gonna call it a perfect film, but it is one of the better Batman films that have been around in a long time. Um, I know people like to either give shit or say they like to take the contrarian side of being Affleck's Batman. I don't really have. I thought he was fine, but this is a Batman movie to its core. It's not a Bruce Wayne. Christian Bale was great as Bruce Wayne. He was pretty good as Batman. I will give Robert Pattinson credit because we talked about this 2 years ago. Maybe before the show even started, we talked about this. How I was very very nervous about Robert Pattinson being cast.
Yeah, we should go
He-
back and watch the pilot again because this
yeah,
is the movie that started our show.
yeah,
Was the trailer for this at DC Fandom? I
yep,
was like, we have to talk about this. This trailer was
yep.
fucking amazing.
I was pleasantly surprised by him as Batman. Didn't really care for him as Bruce Wayne, but like I said, this isn't a movie about Bruce Wayne. It was obvious. I liked the very cr- touching and getting close to a noirish approach to style of storytelling, but it is a thriller. It is a mystery thriller film, and like people have been comparing it. Like if you like the thriller of like Seven, you're gonna love this movie. That's a very good comparison. Very good comparison. Um, I gotta say this, man. Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. He does not. It doesn't look like him at
I
all.
couldn't see him. I couldn't hear him. It was
Yep.
insane.
Right? I mean, I was looking really hard every time he's on camera, and you're like, where is he in there? Like that does not. That looks like a completely like another guy that's just in makeup. It does, and he sounded completely different. Like, great job by him. There's a the kind of the quasi swerve, and it is a bit long. I will say that. So if you're the type to down your drink when the movie starts, you might want to pause because you're gonna have to take a pee break about 3/4 of the way in because there's a lot. It's not with Lord of the Rings bad where it's like, okay, we're done with the movie. Nope, we got another half hour to go. It's like, no, we're going to the next step. Like we're giving you the next step of
Yeah.
this story. And I really enjoyed it, man. I really did. I was pleasantly surprised with Robert Pattinson's performance as Batman. Um, I will say this: Zoe Kravitz and Pattinson, when they're in costume, they have great chemistry.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
I want them to continue
really,
this
really good
universe and
chemistry.
for their arcs to be front and center
Yeah.
because they're obviously the co-leads of this movie and they're fucking
Mhm.
great.
Now, when I think about the cast, I didn't realize how deep this cast was with Carmine Falcone being
I
played by
didn't
John
realize Turturro
Turturro.
was in this movie at all.
Okay, so I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to be the asshole here, but I totally didn't know either. But when he walks up this to the bar, he gets out of the limo, and it's like I'm like, the fuck is John Turturro doing in here? And then and I hear Carmine. I'm like, this dude's playing Carmine Falcone. Are we serious? Like, is that? And just his arc in the movie was great. The big swerve, and we could talk about spoilers in a minute. I was okay with the swerve, regarding the Wayne family. I'll say put it like that. But outside of that, I thought great storytelling. The score was great. Now it could have been a little better. but it wasn't bad. It fit the theme, the mood. I really liked this gritty style of storytelling because these are my favorite Batman comics. The thriller, the chase of the murderer, those type of murder mysteries, those detective stories, rather than the over the top superhero. Like he's fighting Clayface or he's fighting, Killer Croc, things like that, or he's involved with Green Lantern. As much as I like comics, like I really liked Batman for what it was originally, which was a detective. He's a normal guy as a detective, but this is that. It's a thriller, it's a murder mystery, and it's good. It's really really good. Yeah, those are my thoughts, man.
Yep.
Initial thoughts.
And just off one point of yours, I want to circle back to this later. The length is, I think, directly tied to how it's structured, which is it's like the best part of it for me specifically. And I'll get to that in a
Okay,
moment. But the big picture, I think it's the best realized world of Batman we've ever seen in live
fair.
action, at least. Like Gotham feels like Gotham. It doesn't feel like Chicago, slightly darker. It's Gotham. It's like a Detroit times 11. Like in terms of
Yeah.
that, like total economic fallout has ruined this city, right? Like, you like, and it's kind of overwrought now, but like because it was so big in the 80s, like RoboCop and Detroit and all that, it was like really fucked up. But like that was real. Like Detroit got fucking hammered,
Yeah.
right? In its real life allegory. Like Chicago really isn't Gotham's allegory in pop culture. It kind of gets made that way because of how they've shot certain live action scenes. Like basically anything with the bridges going on, that's Chicago. Like they use Chicago as like its main background in a lot of times for setting. But
Oh,
where did they
I thought
shoot
you were
this
talking about the
movie?
crime. I thought you were talking about the crime
No, no,
because I'm
no.
like
In like in
Chicago's
the physical location of it,
the aesthetics. Okay, yeah, I get
we we use Chicago as its allegory,
yeah,
like for how it looks. But that's really not the best in terms of like its setting and like the economic situation and stuff around it. It'd be closer to Detroit, especially given like the manufacturing fallout and stuff that took place there post,
yeah.
NAFTA and everything moving, out of the country. So like, which not to get too political about it, but that's was a big part of what happened to Detroit. And so that it really like just captured Gotham so fucking well. Like that was incredibly cool to see on screen of just man, I believe this is Gotham, not oh, this looks nice for Gotham. Like the Nolan trilogy, Batman Begins, I think, did a better job of it. The later movies, it just feels like Chicago. You
Yeah,
know, you
yeah,
don't. It doesn't feel like Gotham, and that's because they're telling a different story. It is supposed to be a more real world. It's the real world with Batman, whereas this movie's entire point, this is Batman's world.
yeah,
Like there's a difference. It's a little subtler, given that they're tonally not that different, but there's a difference. Like there's a wall of suspension of disbelief of like how deep the world goes, like all the corruption and stuff that would go on, that you see in Gotham in the comics and the animated and now this movie, that wouldn't happen in the real world. Like the Nolan movies, what they were going for, that could not happen,
yeah,
right? But they do it here, which leads me to think that if they continue the side of this universe for future Batman stories, man, they could do some incredibly cool shit. They
yeah.
have laid such an amazing Batman foundation for the world that we've never really realized in a live action setting before. And I'm very excited to see where they go. Batman Pattinson, his Batman was incredible. I like that it's, hey, we're just picking up. He's been Batman for 2 years and go,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
no origin story BS. There's a little, like, am I fighting for the right reasons? Which I like, right? Like, that's a good, backdrop for Batman's, like, emotional state, like vengeance versus justice, that kind of, argument is pretty core to Batman's struggle as a character and his
yeah.
place in his city. I thought they captured that really well. Riddler was just, man, some of those early scenes with him are just fucking unsettling. Like that opening, like when he's in the house with the guy.
Yeah.
Like holy shit, that's like horror movie tense right there.
But see, here's the thing: is that this Riddler, and the comics, the comics, he was a little darker, but it fell into in the '60s and '70s the TV trope, like making everything look goofy like the TV show with Adam West, right? That was the kind of the thing with the Riddler, where this is much more a realistic John Wayne Gacy type of personality where he's like a normal guy, but the moment he puts on his mask, he's a sadistic, violent, rageful person, right?
Hmm.
But he's also lost in his thought about he's like Thanos in that he thinks what he's doing is right. He's also a vigilante. He's also doing finding seeking justice, but the means don't justify the end. We know that, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I really enjoyed. Is it Paul Dano, right? Paul
Yes, Paul
Dano.
Dano.
I thought he was brilliant both as the Riddler and then at the end when he's unmasked. I thought he did a great job of kind of dipping in and out of the personalities that he's battling with himself. You know,
Hmm.
good stuff, man. It was really good stuff. It's a murder mystery. It's a thriller. It's a
Yeah.
murder thriller. That's what it is. It is what you wanted out of a gritty and dark Batman story. You
Hmm.
know, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
Yep. And yeah, like I said, it really leaves off in an interesting point. I don't know if they've committed to doing further movies. I
yeah.
know there are future projects in this world, like they're doing a Colin Farrell Penguin show in place of what was going to be that Gordon show, which I don't think is
Gordon
going to
show.
happen anymore.
No.
Mostly because Jeffrey Wright's a pretty busy dude, and he was already shooting Westworld season 4 earlier. I believe they just wrapped production a couple of weeks ago, so that'll be coming out later this year. Um, but I'm curious to see, whether it'll be a purely HBO Max, continuation, or if we'll get. I imagine based on its box office returns that it will be getting a future sequel, which I hope it does because I wrote down here domestic it's projected 125 million, global 225 plus on a production budget of 200 like even million.
Hmm.
So you figure 2 or 3 good weekends, it's
Break
made
even.
its money
Yeah.
back, and
Yeah.
then is obviously given movie finances they'll like not ever like turn a profit or whatever. Who fucking knows? That part of their world is insane to me, and it will
Don't
never
even
make sense.
don't get me started on
Yeah,
Hollywood execs.
it'll never
No.
make sense how they just decide to hide money. It's crazy, but it's successful though. Have you seen the numbers of what Spider-Man No Way Home is doing?
Yeah.
Like, holy goddamn hell, it's still neck and neck with nearly 3 months later. The Batman, like it's like number two.
But weren't they also talking about re-releasing with an extended cut in the coming weeks so they
Yeah,
can try to
like that wouldn't
make a
shock me if
push?
they did.
They really want to make a $2 billion push, and they're going to do that. They're going to do the extended version, which
Yeah,
are deleted scenes of the.
crazy.
Apparently, there's like two more scenes with all three guys,
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, sure,
yeah. I mean, I'd go see it. We're kind of in this weird period where all the blockbusters got pushed again.
yeah,
So until we get to May, like late May is when so you got Doctor Strange, and then late May is Top Gun 2, if that's
yep.
still coming out then.
If that's still coming out,
And then between now and then, there's really not a whole lot. So like it would
mostly
make
TV.
sense.
It's mostly
And
streaming
Morbius,
content.
which I'm not gonna. Are you
Morbius.
gonna go see Morbius?
Dude, seriously, like I rented out the Alamo Draft House for my company on April 1st, and we're gonna watch the fucking Batman. We're not like it just occurred to me like, and I tweeted this out yesterday. All the content we got leading up from now through the like to the beginning of summertime, and I completely glossed over the fact that in a couple weeks Morbius comes out. And it's
Yeah,
like, nah, I just don't really care. Like I think it's gonna be awful. Like just everybody talking around that production has said it's not a good movie. That they actually shot like it's coming out in 2 weeks in 3 weeks, but actually as of like a month ago they did reshoots to add more characters, potentially Andrew
yeah, because they're
Garfield's
doing
Spider Man.
that, and they're doing a Sinister Six. Like they're doing Craven, so
Yeah.
they want to set up a Sinister Six. I'm like, guys,
Yep.
that's fine. You need to fix your Spider-Man problem first.
Yep.
Are you gonna
Yep.
make your own side universe? Cool, go do that.
Yep.
But stop fucking with the MCU because it's not gonna be in the MCU.
Yep.
Like, figure delineate your shit, right? Like that's Sony's problem. They don't know what lane to pick. Because Craven the Hunter could be a cool movie, but I have no confidence it will be because it's Sony.
Who's Craven again? I forget who they cast.
They just announced who it was, and
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
no, not him.
Are you
Guy that looks
sure?
like him.
I thought it was Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Did
Huh.
they say it was him? No, it
I
didn't
could have
look. The
sworn.
one IGN article I saw did not say him.
Okay. For
But
some reason,
now
I thought it
I'm
was
I'm
Aaron.
googling it. You're right. That's who it says.
Yeah, and I'm cool with Aaron Taylor Johnson because he was great in Kick Ass. He was great in his one MCU film. I think he's a good actor, and I think he can really do a good job. And it's a younger version of Craven, which I'm cool with. But like you
Maybe that
said,
is him. Oh, never mind. What I saw was the casting for the
the
villain of the
casting, the
movie.
villain, right? Yeah.
Different guy.
See, man, I'm frustrated because we're finding out had they not gone with the Spider Verse movie here with No Way Home, that it was going to be a Craven's Last Hunt version,
Oh
where
God, how
Craven
cool
was
would that have
like,
been?
but we called it because like hearing tidbits that he was going to be Wakandan. Didn't we say that?
Yeah,
Didn't we say like the perfect story would be he's from Wakanda, he's an exile from Wakanda or something. There's a whole story there. His technology is based off of Wakandan tech, so that's why he can keep up with Spider-Man. Like, there's just so much there. Okay, all that aside, I'm very frustrated with this whole Spider-Man and Sony thing because they love the fact that they're cashing huge checks from the MCU with Holland, but they don't really want to get their shit together on the Sony side. And Holland's even said, "Look, I'm sure we can work something out, like for me to be in the Sony films." But they're just not doing a good job of like really constructing a path to
yeah,
get
and
there.
Marvel will not let him do a Sony Spider-Man movie unless it's a good movie. Like
Unless
they
it's a
don't want to
good
taint
movie.
that
Yeah.
the audience. They don't want to muddy that water.
But what we do know now with No Way Home is obviously the Venom film was in a different universe,
Yeah.
but now the symbiote has shown up in the 19999, right?
Yes.
We
They've
know that now.
established that it's possible we might see the symbiote somehow.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's frustrating because like Morbius comes out in a few weeks and I'm like whatever.
Which
I,
sucks
I'm
because yeah, they're
I'm
gonna
I'm waiting
waste
till May,
they're wasting the return of Michael Keaton.
right?
Bullshit.
And Jared Lee, come on, let's be real. Jared Leto is a good actor.
Yeah,
He's
but
a good actor.
he's a shithead.
Yeah, he's a shithead,
He's a
but
on
he's a good actor.
production shithead. From like
Yeah.
literally every story is just that dude being a first class turd. Like like the shit he pulled on the Suicide Squad, the first one.
Yeah.
Like putting rats in people's trailers and stuff. And it's like, man, how David Ayer didn't kick his ass off set, I will never understand.
Hey, no, wait. We cannot absolve David Ayer with this Vato Loco Joker for Suicide
Yeah, like
Squad.
that
That
was
was
he
that
enabled
was
that.
bad. That was
Like
all of that was just
it was
horrible.
terrible. It was terrible. But like if you're the director, like for real, Jared Leto's in like say that it's James Gunn's movie. You think Jared Leto gets away with that shit?
Oh hell no.
Hell no. He'd have been fucking gone and recast in a heartbeat. Like
Well,
like you know like
well, we know that for a fact because the guy that played Vigilante, James Gunn did say he wasn't the original actor cast to play Vigilante because they fired in the middle of production the original actor because he was an asshole.
yeah, like
Like
Gunn does seem
yeah,
like the guy who just be like, oh, I don't. He's the kind of guy that likes working with people he likes. He doesn't
yeah.
like you, get the fuck out. Like,
Which that interests me because I've heard stories over the years in wrestling circles that Dave Batista is a bit of an asshole to work with, but apparently Dave Batista is a saint on movie sets. And I think maybe it's just that Gunn managed to channel him like the right way, and now I think maybe Batista's found like how to handle himself in Hollywood. I don't know because since the
it,
first
like it's a
Guardians,
similar world, but it's different in the
it is very
WWE.
different. Yeah, yeah,
Partly because at least when he was in it more consistently, like being having it be fully Vince's show, like
yeah.
that's a totally different environment than
Uh,
Hollywood. It's
yeah, there's a
close, but
yeah,
different. You know,
yeah.
the number
Well, I
of
mean,
voices
because
in the room is different.
well, but we also know the power of a director on a film because
Exactly.
Joss Whedon's an asshole, and like, come
Look
on,
at all the shit he got away with.
yeah, exactly. So it's cool, man, because like I can imagine Leto trying to work with James Gunn, and yeah, you're right. Like we would hear like, oh yeah, he's been fired from
Like
the
that wouldn't
movie.
have shocked me. But anyway, let's get back to the Batman.
Okay, Batman. Let's go back to
Let's get
Batman.
back to the Batman.
Are,
Hey,
are we ready to break into spoilers?
our Twitter bio does say we go on random tangents as
We
much as
go
we
on
can.
random tangents a
So
lot.
we have to do it. All right. It took
Yeah,
40 episodes, but we finally got a Twitter. Mostly because I decided to not be lazy yesterday.
there you go.
But back to the Batman. So those were our
Okay,
big
let's
picture thoughts.
let's break out the spoilers. Do we want to talk
Let's go.
spoilers
We're
here?
gonna dive right into spoilers.
All right, guys,
We've
spoiler
been
time.
recording for half an hour. It's spoiler time.
Okay.
So
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the swerve with the Wayne family,
I quite
the
enjoyed it
corrupted side of it?
because it gives you that without if you're not going to do an origin story, doing that swerve with the Waynes gives Batman that moment of, well, why am I Batman?
Okay. which he does. He has that.
And he
He
has
has
that
that
moment,
moment
and
of
it's effective.
reflection in the
Like
hospital. Yeah,
when he's in the hospital,
yeah,
and he's having that like quasi argument slash come to Jesus moment with Alfred, and then he realizes, and then it's bookended at the end with the I can't just be vengeance.
yeah,
I have to be more. It gives you that, you know, like why do we fall moment,
yep,
but in a different context with it being about the Waynes. Whereas like the Nolan movies, his origin was very traditional, very, Joe Chill, the whole nine yards, right, with the
yeah,
pearls and everything. Whereas in this movie, we don't see that. It's alluded to, of course, but we don't see it. He's just Batman. Everybody knows his origin story, or do they? Which is the hook there.
yeah,
And we still don't get a definitive answer, which I like, leaving that ambiguous. That's very comic booky, and for lack of a better word. And speaking of, and as I alluded to, this movie feels like I just binged an entire run of a comic arc. Like that
yeah.
is its structure, which is fucking awesome. Like there's the finale and stuff where like the finale, fucking fucking flies hitting my microphone.
Is it a fly or a
Yeah, the
moth?
big ass fly trying to flying around.
That's a big fly. I thought it was a moth.
It's early spring. I'm just about to be. We hit 60 today, so I'm sure I'll have to do. Maybe I have a window cracked open somewhere. I don't know, but they're fucking everywhere. But like that struggle. You have your finale, your big climax, but then there's like a whole other issue at the end, right?
Yeah,
Of just like that, what's going on with Catwoman and where we're leaving the universe and like, and all of that. And like there's like a second finale climax, which is like that's so comic book arcy, which
yep.
is different than your traditional movie structure, where you have your big ass climax, tiny little epilogue, fade to black. Right? Like
Three
it's
acts.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
structured, in a way that's almost closer to the graphic novel kind of structure,
yeah,
which almost feels intentional, given how much vibes you're pulling from like the Long Halloween, specifically with Catwoman's arc, right? Like with Carmine Falcone and all that. And
yep,
speaking of, so Carmine Falcone, big part of the story. That's how they say Falcone in the movie. Did
yeah.
it did it bug you that they said Falcone versus Falcone?
Yes, because I had always thought it was Falcone in the comics. I never really thought about it, right?
Yeah.
And then when Nolan came along, it was Falcone. Falcone, I'm like, okay, I guess like I didn't know either way. I always read it as whatever, just reading it, not thinking about it. But then okay, it's Italian, Falcone, makes sense, but then they're Falcone. Because who is the other mobster? I always forget his name.
Sal
That
Maroni.
Sal Maroni. I think they didn't want to confuse people with Maroni Falcone in
Yeah.
like the dialogue because if you keep saying like Falcone blah 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 and he had Maroni Falcone Maroni and it just I think they were like let's just go with let's just call it let's just say Falcone because it could be Falcone for all we know but I think that may have been like a creative decision there just to not confuse people with the dialogue but yeah I was kind of like wait a minute okay we're going with Falcone okay
Yeah.
cool, cool, cool. But like I said, John Turturro, man, I didn't know he was in the film, but he was brilliant as Falcone. He
Yeah.
was great.
He for being kind of introduced midway through the second act, really,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the time we see him, he still has a really large presence in the movie. Again, specific to Catwoman's arc because of spoiler, he is her father. That's pulled direct from the Long Halloween, or is that Long Halloween or is that Hush? It's Long Halloween.
it's Long Halloween,
Long Halloween. Like her arc's ripped from that. Batman's arc is like ripped from 0 Year in the New 52.
and then
It-
the ending's more close to Cataclysm,
yeah,
more
like
close
it's
to that.
all like pulled like out of like specific source material, but works all really well together. And like that structure of your opening act, like this is Batman and his mission and what he's doing and what he's been up to. Big finale. Oh, first kill. Titles, right? Second, is what's going on, like, the fallout from that first kill, the evolving mystery of what's going on with this murder, the second kill, then the funeral, the car crash, boom, credits. Then you come back and it's the fallout with the bomber and talking with, the DA, and then the bomb explodes. Boom. Third issue's done. Move on to the fourth issue, and then you get into the Catwoman stuff with Falcone
Yeah,
and these mobsters. And then episode 5, you find out, oh, issue 5, oh, he's her father, right? And then 6, the finale with that, and then 7 is the finale, circling back to that killer with the Riddler, right? Like, and it all comes to a head, like that. That's what it kind of felt like, and it was like a unique experience from a superhero movie for me, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I get it. Less opus. Like with Marvels, there let's be real, it's like a grand symphony every time you watch a Marvel film, right?
yeah,
Where this is like serial. Boom, boom,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
which was very cool. And we have a Chris in chat, being like, "There's no Roman Sionis," but this world that they've built and where they could continue to go in the
Yep.
power vacuum of now, everything with the renewal and Carmine Falcone coming to a head and coming to the light, uh, leaves such cool possibilities for where they could go with future Batman stories. Like this world, I would love to see an actual Black Mask, right? Like that would be great, right? I want to see where they go with Penguin, and he's getting his own show, right? I want to see, like, are they would they introduce like a Poison Ivy type character with her and Catwoman, like having that, back and forth? That'd be interesting, right? They've made the world, they've built up enough suspension of disbelief. I think you could get away with a lot of his rogues gallery in this world while having your kind of like your straight man character is going to be Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, which is fucking incredible, right?
Yeah, he was great. He was
He was
great.
awesome. Like he was very broody, but it's Jeffrey Wright, so it's awesome because he's Jeffrey Wright. Um, and Kravitz is Catwoman again, awesome, right? Like very, like I want to say comics accurate. You know what I mean? Like in a way, most of the other live action Catwomans have not been. Like I feel like she could just be ripped out of a pick a graphic novel that's Catwoman, right? Like it was phenomenally well done. Especially it was like if you mixed the year one version of her with Long Halloween, Catwoman, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite enjoyed it.
Now
So
I have to,
what did what?
I'm gonna ask you the real quick because we're talking about the rogues gallery here. There's just a huge list of very non supernatural beings that you can tell stories about. I think the tough one is at this point we can't do a Zazas because essentially the Riddler played that role as a serial killer, right?
Well, it depends. You mean
I
Victor
think a
Zaz?
Zaza, it's Victor Zaz. I'm sorry, Victor Zaz. I'm sorry. I always say Victor Zaz or Zaz. I always say
It's spelled
Zaza because
weird.
I know Victor Zaz. So I think that I really like his character
He'll
and
always.
how
I
he's
think he'll be
written.
a secondary character. I don't think he'll ever
He
be a
should
main
be
villain.
like an HBO Max show. Like
Yes.
if it's Penguin, he needs to be as a backdrop character in that show,
Yeah, I
right?
think he could be the Penguin's second hand, much like he was in Birds of Prey.
Mhm. Birds of Prey, yeah.
You know,
Um, so I think where they go next is very tough because you want to keep it as on the streets as possible with this. You don't want to go too in the
yeah, you
sky.
don't want to go
No,
immediately to Solomon Grundy.
no, you don't want to. God, no. But like, obviously, they tease the Joker with Barry. Is it Cogan? Cogan? Barry
I didn't get
Cogan?
the name, but I would.
He's
I that's one thing I didn't like.
really
I
okay.
didn't like it to be any villain there. I
Okay,
would have
well,
liked to seen a maybe a like a card, like like
well,
your
you
placard.
like
I didn't need to
at the end of
see.
Batman Begins, the
Yeah,
card at Batman
no,
Begins.
no, not
Okay.
even the card. Like while they're just a shot of Riddler going
Oh,
through
it just
Arkham,
yeah.
and you just see the cell names. That's all you
Okay.
needed. I
Okay.
didn't like that interplay. It didn't add anything. You
Well, then
know,
you're not going to want to hear about the deleted scene if you haven't heard yet, because there is a deleted scene earlier in the film where you get another shot of the Joker.
like
And
a static shot of just the Joker would have been fine.
okay.
Like a silhouette kind of shot would have been fine.
Yeah.
But with
Yeah.
actual interaction just felt off.
Okay.
Like I didn't. I could tell what they were going for visually with the Joker. It
Mhm.
didn't feel like the Joker. Like the
That's fair.
Joker in my mind would never talk to Riddler that way. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't view anyone as his equal. Like that kind of thing. Like it,
No.
but it also didn't feel like he was really being like a manipulative kind of guy there. Like playing
Yeah.
that angle, because you need more time for that angle to become apparent, and you're never going to get that in a single scene. So just don't do it
Well, I think they have to be careful with because we don't want to do another second film that
with the Joker.
revolves around
You
the
know what I
Joker.
mean? Like
Yeah, because they're already talking about what's her name? Anya Taylor-Joy being Harley Quinn in this world, and I'm like, if you do Harley Quinn, you're gonna have to do Joker. because you're doing Batman. Like just the transitive property leads you to that. Those steps lead you to that, and
Hmm.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think we. If you want Joker, that's fine. I think he would be good. Put him in the third film. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But not another middle movie about the Joker. I don't think that's a good. I think people are going to give. I think people will be very because we have a large chunk of people that are going to watch the movie, but they're also hesitant to watch it because they're like, we just went through Nolan's trilogy, and then we just went through Batfleck. Like okay, and we're starting over again. This is a very different approach to Batman, which I thoroughly enjoy, but I think you have to be very careful. Stay to the ground, stay to the streets. Don't look to the skies. Don't do that.
Hmm. I agree. So let's start with or go to another question of what worked the
Sure.
best for you. What was like a standout moment for you?
Okay, I really enjoyed at the very opening scene, the interaction with Batman and Gordon. Obviously, y- they've established a relationship. Like you can feel it just when he walks in. Like it's just like okay. And what I appreciated was we didn't have another over the top with the cops like, oh my God, Batman vigilante. Let's catch him. They're confused. They're scared, but they're confused. They're a little angry that this guy is being allowed into their crime scene. I really like the way Reeves wrote that scene. I really do because it's like he walks in and he's very meticulous. Everybody's afraid of him except for Jim Gordon. And then as the movie goes along, they basically say you're the only person I trust because we can't trust any other officers because of those guys working for Falcone, right?
Yeah.
Or the Penguin. And so it's like, who do we trust at this point? Who do we trust? And they keep like, I trust. You're the only person I trust. First Gordon tells him that. Later in the film, Batman says, "You're the only person I can trust." It's like, I really like the fact that we jump into the first scene with we have a murder. It's a big deal. It's a very important person, and Batman's on the scene. Holy shit, why is Batman here? No one's freaking out, drawing their guns. They're like, what the fuck is this weirdo doing here? And Gordon's like, he's my guy. I trust him. You need to trust him. And you see the growth with the other cops through the film with him,
Especially that the payoff at the end with
with
the
the, with him,
like
with the
the
carpet. Yeah.
I guess not all of us do, when they open
Yeah.
up the doors and it's all the cops ready to like trained
Yes.
on him. It's like
Yep.
and but they're clearly all there for Falcone and Batman just steps away. Like
Steps
that
away,
was
walks off.
yeah, like so cool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, hell yeah. Let's go GCPD, right? Like that
Yeah.
was great back like a Batman world moment,
Yep.
you know?
It's because you could see, like, at the beginning, they're, like, they're scared of him, and they're also apprehensive, but they build trust through this whole case with the Riddler, and, but at the same time, they know who he is because they've had to deal with him, but he's not running from them, The only time he ran from them was that scene where he needed to get out of the GCPD offices, and he punched, the whole staged fight, so he could
Look,
break away to go
could have
do
pulled the
something.
punch.
You're gonna pull the
It did.
punch.
Like,
But like and of course people are gonna say people made jokes about the emo Batman. That's not what I got from Batman. The Bruce Wayne stuff, it's the hair, the fair skin of Pattinson that people want to call him, an emo guy. But this, like I said at the very beginning, this was it's obvious. Matt Reeves did not give a shit about a Bruce Wayne story.
no,
He
that's
gave
just
zero.
set dressing. Like just,
It's yeah,
that's window dressing of just
at some point he's got to take off the costume to take a dump or have
yeah,
lunch, right? Like
like
it's obvious
the
like
mayor
that was his
mentions it
mindset.
once
Yeah.
and then we don't ever hear about it because it's not a this is a this is he's just Batman right now. He's not
Yeah.
yet figured out he also needs to be Bruce Wayne.
And that could be like we jump into the second movie with him trying to dabble more with
Yeah,
building up his
because someone's gonna have to
profile.
come and save Gotham, like
Exactly.
financially.
Financially, but also they need a figurehead to do this. Batman can't be that figurehead because he works in the shadows, right? So why
Exactly.
not Bruce Wayne? So that's where he's taking more of a dual approach, and it'll be great because we get to see if Pattinson has the range to do both. Because Bale was very good with that, being a Bruce
Well,
Wayne
I
and
think
then
having
doing the
watched Tenant, he will.
okay, yeah, that's fair. That's a good
He
point.
plays
That's a
like
good
a
point.
rather suave kind of spy
Okay.
character, and like yeah, he can do Bruce Wayne.
Okay. I think, but it was good for the story. 2 years into being Batman, he's still learning to cope with things. He's riding on vengeance is my motivation. It's my sole motivator, right? like all of that stuff, and at the back end of it, at the end of the film, helping people, like you said, the monologue he gives about, I can't be doing this strictly for vengeance. I have to be something, be better, do something more to inspire people. And I think, yeah, we're not gonna see him like, jumping for joy, being a crazy wild guy, but maybe the second film opens up with him like, racing cars at a public event for a charity or something, and he's working with Alfred's like, you got, remember, we talked about this, you have to be more of a sociable person to, as Bruce Wayne, like things like that. But we've established Bruce Wayne is the mask, Batman is who he really is. We've talked about that in the Nolan trilogy, but here it's like we're already jumping right into that. Like, this is who he is Batman,
Yeah.
this is who he is, and I'm cool with that. I really like that because we got a really good Batman movie, like a good Batman movie, not a good Batman Bruce Wayne, but a good Batman movie out of it.
hmm For me, one of the other things that worked super well was the use of shadow. Like Batman, you literally see him come out of the shadows. It's not
Yep.
alluded to, like people don't just turn around and he's gone. It's like, no, there's just long holding shots on the shadows, and you just see Batman walk out.
Oh, like when he's walking at the bus station
Yeah,
when
the
he
bus,
beats up
like
that
that bus,
gang,
like yeah, the bus slash train station where the first opening
boots,
fight, where he
and you
just
just hear the boots.
walks out,
Yeah.
right? Which I don't like. That was another one. Like, but the man wouldn't in the universe say, "Who the hell are you supposed to be?" They'd know he's Batman.
Yeah, they know he's Batman.
Like
Yeah.
half the crew clearly is like, oh fuck, right? Like this not good. We should go. But their leader is like doesn't know who Batman is. That was a little universe weirdness. Who knows? Maybe he's an out of town gang leader. I don't know. He's just in for the weekend. Who knows? But like that was a little weird. But the fight was dope, right? Like the
Yeah.
taking the bullet off the chest piece and just like looking down and then going at the guy, like so cool. At the end when he's just fucking wailing on dudes with their own
Oh,
guns,
man.
like
God.
holy shit! Like it was a movie that you could feel the heaviness of it. Like the Batmobile, one of the best chase sequences I've watched in years. Like we're talking right up there with like Born Identity level like chase sequence. Like it was fucking great. The Batmobile reveal scene, just holy shit! Like when you just see the blue kick on, like when you hear the engine start to
Big
go,
roar,
and
yeah.
then like it starts to glow orange because it's running so hot. Like going, oh damn, right? Like that's just you just keep saying oh damn as this thing revs up and starts turning on. Fucking cool. Like there's multiple shots of this movie that are just like, fuck, that looks cool.
Yeah.
Like Matt Reeves is the king of that.
I'm gonna tell people this though, if you're gonna wait for it to come out on Blu-ray or DVD, like Blu-ray or on demand, you better have a good TV with dark contrast, like with solid
Yeah.
black, because this movie, just like that episode, the dark episode of Game of Thrones, you need to have solid, like a system with really good blacks, because there are a lot of scenes, not throughout like the whole movie, but there are some really important scenes where it's dark as hell, and it's like, yeah, like the theater, like pitch black, and you still have to, like, you have to really kind of pay attention. You really have to look to see like the outline of him moving around, and it doesn't dominate the film, but there are some really important scenes where that happens. So
Yeah.
yeah, you have to have good black contrast on your
Yeah.
TV
Because
for
like
this.
again, much like we were alluded to earlier, it's very graphic novel-y where there's a lot of
Yeah.
scenes that are compositioned to be black, gray, and red.
Yep.
Where red is the only color of
Yep.
note. And that's very graphic novel, like old school, like 80s, early 90s Batman,
Yep.
right? Like, and it just feels like tonally, conceptually, the script, the costumes, it all feels like that's what they wanted to go for. And I think they nailed it.
What do you think about the costume?
I actually think it was for like a year two kind of Batman story. Pretty fucking cool. Like, I thought the mask worked fine. Actually getting to see his eyes,
Yeah.
and like, he obviously has the lenses and stuff on which I thought they used that kind of alt universe technology pretty
Yep.
well. It's way in the background, like the gadgets aren't really like a forefront kind of thing, other than like the gas grapnel that he uses a
Yep.
few times. Like the like other than when he pulls off the
Oh
chest
yeah,
plate and it's
the
the
chest
knife,
plays
like
knife,
that's fucking rad.
and then
Like
you hear it just clink back in his
yeah,
chest, like,
like oh that feels like this Batman. This Batman, of
yeah,
course he does. Of course that thing comes off and it's the battering. Like of course that's that. That
yeah,
just makes sense. Like because earlier in the movie you see the bullet go off like metal hit metal.
yeah.
Like all the sparks from that. And I love how there's the shot when he gets shot, you see another spark in the back because the bullet ricocheted into the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't catch that in the trailer. But
Yep.
seeing the gif of it loop, I'm like, oh shit, there's two quick successions of sparks because the bullet bounced off.
Yep.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of this movie that's like, man, that man's fucking awesome. Like the universe, the world, the characters, the lore, the mob side of it, the Batman kind of like the ninja side of it's fucking cool. The cop side of it's cool because Jim Gordon's awesome. Like, and they got a fucking character that does awesome heists. Like, God, this world's cool.
Well, what I like about this one too is that Batman also he understands that there has to be a connection to the underworld. If you notice, like his involvement with the Penguin, like he was just, I'm gonna go to the club to get information, and I'm gonna be calm about it. It was like, okay, I'm sure some people
Do
that
you know
aren't
who I
used to that.
am?
Yeah, but I'm sure like people aren't used to seeing that because they're used to Batman going after the bad guy, his gallery of villains, and this one he's like, we gotta fucking talk. We have to talk, and you're gonna have to give me information, you know. And then of course later on there's a confrontation, of course, because he believes that Penguin is the snitch. But man, it's just like and like I said, I'll reiterate, fucking Colin Farrell. Holy crap! Like I could not believe that was Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. I
Can't
just
believe he's
holy
gonna do a
shit.
show, which means he has to do that makeup so much.
Yeah, yeah,
He said it was like a 2.5 hour process once they got everything, once they got their timing down, they knew how long, how
yep,
everything would work. For a show, he's gonna do that much makeup? Are you shitting me? That dude's nuts.
yeah.
But
But I'm sure
hey, it's
he
probably gonna be a
wants to
great
be.
show.
It's going to be a great show. Yeah. Um, I want to throw this out there. I think if we do another thriller type Batman in the second movie, The Court of Owls. What do you think?
That's where I was gonna go. That was another one. I was like, I was really hoping Riddler was
To
trying
get
to
something,
expose the
yeah,
Court of Owls. The swerve with it being the Waynes, I didn't see coming, but it totally makes sense.
yeah.
If you're not going to do an origin story, you still need some of that hook into his background and his family. Especially if I totally is he always the grandson of the Arkhams?
No, no. That
Because I know in
that
some
was
iterations he is, but not every.
that's the thing that bothered me about this was that Martha Wayne is an Arkham, and I know for a fact in the early days of Batman, like the comic, he has no ties to the Arkhams. I think that is like you're right. I think that is an alternate version of Batman.
But that's the other thing. They set up that she's in Arkham, and the
Yeah.
Arkhams were tied in with the Court of Owls.
Yes.
So I'm like,
Yes.
they've left themselves that as an option, as like, hey, Batman's rebuilding the city, and it's Bruce Wayne like rebuilding the city, and Batman's still cleaning up the streets, but he's running into these weird assassins, and it's
Yep.
the Talons, right? Like, and then he has to go up against and he's finding out who the Court of Owls are,
Yeah.
and then
That his mom really wasn't crazy. There was something
like
going on
she
deeper with
knew about the
what was going
court,
on.
and they
Yeah.
were, like trying to kill her, or like they
Yep.
were trying to keep her quiet from talking about it.
Yep.
So they were like, putting her through like hypnotherapy or whatever in Arkham, to like keep her docile, and that Thomas Wayne didn't have anything to do with it, you know,
No.
which is like, and then another hook of maybe that's why they had him killed.
Yeah.
Like that, like leaving that ever unsolved is a great hook for
Yep.
Batman as a character. And
You
then of
find out
course,
yeah, yeah.
once he's
Go ahead.
in the shit, Alfred's got to call Selena, right? Like he needs
Right.
help,
Yeah.
you
Like
know.
it's mentally, psychologically bringing him down, like dragging him down this whole battle with the court, and so she has to get involved. That yeah, and I'm cool with that, man. Like I think the Court of Owls is kind of the closest thing you could do, like the next logical step in terms of like keeping it thriller, you know?
hmm Especially if you
So
don't want, if you want to leave like a big comic book like battle against the Joker kind of thing for later.
yeah,
Like that would be your finale, your swan song. A few different things you could do where they could go next. One, I obviously have Court of Owls on here too, but oh god,
sure.
now that we got talking, I lost my train of thought. But
Oh, I know what you were gonna say because you said it. I'm sure was it involving Hush?
no, yeah, it was the fall of Harvey Dent. So
Okay,
you
the
would
fall of
introduce
Harvey
him
Dent.
in the second movie,
Okay,
but he's not Two Face yet, right? Like you don't have him become Two Face until the third movie.
okay,
Like you have him be, the new DA who's helping clean up the streets with Batman, and Bruce Wayne's cleaning up the streets as Bruce Wayne with his money, and like they're really good friends, and he works with Batman on the side, and then you see him start to crack, like, but he's still a solidly good guy. And then it's not until, the end when he gets hit, like with acid or whatever in a court case, and we don't see him wake up and we don't see him become Two-Face. And you just leave it there. And then you pick up and then he has to deal with Two-Face later down the road. I think that'd be cool. Some way to do
Now,
that as like a two-part
yeah,
story, telling it
yeah,
across two movies.
yeah.
And also in a bit of fun casting. I don't I was like, man, you know who would actually be solid as both the lawyer and then a guy who can do crazy? Like Jensen Ackles would be pretty cool. Because he also voiced Batman in The Long Halloween, which is a pretty Harvey Dent heavy story.
Yeah.
I was like,
That'd be interesting,
oh, he
man.
could do that.
Like,
He's the
so
right
Harvey
age
Dent,
for it.
I think you're right. I think my real big complaint about The Dark Knight was how they really accelerated Two-Face and just ended it really fast. I really didn't like that. So he plays in the background of this movie as Harvey Dent, and then he becomes Two-Face in the third movie.
In the third.
I'm cool with that. Something just occurred to me. I don't know if because you mentioned this about the Arkhams, and now that Martha Wayne is tied to the Arkhams in this world. Well, Jeremiah Arkham was the second iteration of the Black Mask, if I'm not mistaken. So you
Could do
could
something there,
actually
yeah.
you could go deeper with the Arkhams in season two and tie it into the Court of Owls if you want. But then you also have Hush. But one of my favorite Batman stories is Hush. But the biggest problem I have with Hush is that the story itself was all about the Bat family, like recognizing that Batman is not alone in this world. And it's really tough because at this point we only have Alfred and Selena technically that she doesn't
Plus
know he's
Jim.
Bruce.
Yeah.
And Jim, they both don't know he's Bruce. But
I would love a reveal of Jim being like, dude, I'm a detective. Of course I knew you were Bruce Wayne.
like I've always known you're Bruce Wayne. I'm not stupid.
Like, as soon as you clocked the guy, like, he's like, I figured it out at the funeral when you looked up and saw that Riddler was there.
Yeah,
Of course I knew. Right? Like, something like that. Like, don't let Jim Gordon be in the dark about the whole thing. You know?
yeah. Not the Superman without the glasses thing. Like the Clark
Yeah.
Kent with glasses on and off,
Exactly.
like the Perry White stuff. I don't. Yeah, that's dumb.
Having him just,
Um,
like, show up in the Batcave, be like, of course I knew who you were. And we
other
need to
character,
talk.
other character you could go with Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange would be a great villain for this Batman.
Yeah. So
And,
I just don't. I don't
oh,
think.
I remembered where I was going to go.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Arkham Asylum, the game.
Okay.
Like a Blackgate prison riot. This Batman. You'd get your Anna Taylor-Joy, but as a pre-Harley Quinn, like as Dr. Quinzel,
Denzel. Okay.
and she's his like help, right? And then you kind of hear her like kind of it's alluded that she's kind of gone off the deep end, but he still needs her to focus and help him catch these prisoners. So we could get some of the quick hitter early Batman villains like Firefly. You could do Mad Hatter. You could
Yep.
do what's the guy, Ventriloquist. You could do
Yeah.
Mr. Pig. You could do like a bunch of these things that are small villains, but have them have their own little 10-minute interaction, and then he moves on to the next one, and then the next one, without having to, and that leaves your big heavy hitters in the wind, like they escaped, and their future movies, but he dealt with this. You set up Dr. Quinn, Gordon comes in at the end with the GCPD to help cordon off Blackgate, and Batman saved the city again. I think that'd be cool.
And at the back end of the film, you find out that Harley Quinzel ended up freeing this prisoner, the
Mhm.
Joker.
And
And
again,
that's
also
he's
with
good.
Dr. Quinn, you could also have Harvey be there. Like the start of the movie is Batman bringing a bad guy in. Dent is there as the DA to like make sure everything is clean, so like everything is handled properly. And Dent also has to like help and be a badass, like actually help Batman and is equally as a hero.
Yeah.
And yeah, screw ending with it like the acid or anything. Just leave him. He's helped Batman save the day, and then we set up for later with his fall. I think
That's
that'd be rad.
yeah. I mean, it's the good thing is that we're not completely tanked on like straight level
Yeah, like
story.
we only did Riddler and Penguin.
Yeah.
Because like Falcone is usually a pretty early, like he's not a continuous antagonist.
No.
He's a mob boss with ties to Selena, and that's about it. And yeah, they've done Penguin and they've set him up for future stories, and they've done Riddler and he's still alive. So like they've really left the world off in a fascinating part of like where do they go next?
Yeah.
Like they could do anything. I would believe where they go. Like they got a Batmobile with a rocket on its back. I'm fucking in. Like they could do whatever. Like they
Well,
might be able
we
to sell me
also
on Clayface.
we also have a very younger um, Alfred.
Yeah,
And obviously, I'm going to say it. I believe Alfred in this world was special forces because well, he's in
it's
the
alluded
hospital,
that
but
he taught Batman how to
he
fight.
taught Batman to fight. So I'm thinking he was like special forces or something. So yeah, I think we can. I mean, we have a younger Alfred who can actually help out because I don't think the next thing is you got to bring in Robin. Like you don't have to
No,
do that yet. Don't
again,
do that.
you could set it up,
Yeah,
right?
you can set it up, but don't feel like you have to like. And honestly, I could see them not wanting to make this a trilogy. I could see Matt Reeves saying, "I want to tell four, maybe even five stories out of this."
Yeah,
Maybe, you know?
it really comes down to how much can they get out of Pattinson and Kravitz,
Yeah,
because like they're going to be very they're as long as big as their careers are, going to be very busy. You know, it's kind of like Sony's problem right now with Holland and Zendaya. Like they're busy. You know, like
yeah.
how much more are you going to get out of them?
And
You
you're gonna
know,
have to pay to do it.
and they're not going to be cheap.
Yeah. I mean, there's talks of Holland getting like a $200 million deal with Disney.
Yeah,
I think there was like rumors about him getting like this huge mega deal to keep going to keep being their Peter Parker. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, they're busy. They're both busy. Like Zendaya's Euphoria is just blowing up right now. You
yeah.
know, it's man, like it's crazy to me that we're talking about how like this bat like because when that trailer came out, you were much more stoked than I was about this movie,
Oh,
and
that
I
trailer was
wasn't
incredible.
I wasn't hateful. I was just very cautious about it because I was worried big time about Pattinson. That was a big thing for me if he would be able to shoulder the load because I know Nicholas Hewitt Holt or is it Hewitt or
Yeah,
Holt?
Nat Holt. Yeah,
uh, was also in the running for the role, and I thought he would be a better cast, and he would be a better Bruce Wayne, right? I think Pattinson nailed Batman out of the park. Now he's not a big guy, which is fine. That
Batman
doesn't bother
shouldn't
me.
be a big guy. He's supposed to be a
No,
ninja. Ninjas are not jacked,
yeah,
right? Like
I know.
ninjas aren't bodybuilders.
Well, you know the Affleck Batman is based off of the Dark Knight
Yeah,
Returns. You know
and
that's
possibly the animated series
animated
Batman's,
series.
but that was an animation style.
Yeah.
Less
No, but
so
it's but Frank Miller's take on
was
Batman's older and bulky.
he
He's
was a
bigger and
tank.
bulkier. Yeah, he was a tank. So that's what they went after for, Dawn of Justice and Justice League. So and that's fine, but I like and he's 2 years in. Like this is a guy that's still figuring his stuff out as a
Oh,
vigilante. So
I didn't even touch on something. I'm so okay.
go ahead.
So a beat they could do is have like Alfred be like, I helped you, I trained you, and all these things, and then like Batman be like, well, you didn't teach me everything. Enter the League of Shadows. Enter Talia. Like as comics Talia, not Nolan. Out of nowhere. Oh
Or
shit, it's
Talia.
Talia al Ghul. Like no, have her like come in and he knows her. Like, and then you have that like romantic, interlude between him and Catwoman. Like that plays up again in the Arkham games, right? Like there's a lot they could pull from the Arkham, like as comic booky and kind of over the top as those Arkham games were. There's a lot that this universe's Batman world could pull from that, and it really wouldn't feel out of place, especially the first two. Arkham Knight gets fucking crazy with like the
Yeah.
fear toxin all over the city and all that, but the first two being self-contained, within their own little environments, worlds, there's some stuff they could really pull from there. Especially again, like they go Hugo Strange, like
Yeah.
and maybe Hugo Strange like is like the warden in that like kind of Blackgate kind of like maybe they mash up the two.
Yeah.
Like there's a plot there. I think you could make all those pieces work.
So I think we're both kind of leaning towards Arkham is the next logical step for
Yeah,
the
some
show.
kind of Arkham slash
Mhm.
prison story,
Sorry.
whether it's
Yeah.
Blackgate, whether it's Arkham, one of those two.
Or the Arkham family, like the
Yeah,
legacy that's
or
there. Like
yeah,
there's
again, if they
something
go with the
deeper there.
Arkham stuff, like, and then again, more alluding to the Court of Owls.
For vowels, yeah.
Like actually use. Maybe they don't even appear in the second one. Maybe we just see a Talon or something, and we get allusions to this conspiracy behind everything in Gotham. And then the later movies are, you know, they're the ones that go after Dent and accidentally turn him crazy, and he becomes Two Face. Instead of having it be a mobster on the stand. You know, like, and
But it's
because
also
Harvey,
great. It's
and then it becomes a bit of Batman's guilt where he's Dent's only in the fight because of Batman,
yeah.
and then that's what got him to and made him a villain is because of Batman. You
And you
know,
could always tie these things into the show.
hmm
The court, like little like they're these are background things that carry the story amongst the movies and this show. And I'm sure HBO is clamoring to do something else with the
especially
Batman
off the
universe.
success of
This,
Peacemaker.
yep.
I'm sure they're
So
clamoring for just more like like top shelf DC content,
yeah.
like full budget, all the star. Give us the stars, give us the budget, and the audience will come. I
Well, I
think
mean, there is a
Peacemaker
rumor
proved that.
now. There's a rumor now that Mary, was it Elizabeth Winstead is going to Mary Elizabeth Winstead? Is that
Yeah,
um that she may be playing Huntress in an adaptation on HBO Max? Like
dude,
not the Birds of Prey Huntress, but
as
like
a
they're
version
going
of Huntress, like
as
a
a version
dude,
of
that'd be dope
Huntress.
because she was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, that was phenomenal.
I mean, we're spending like we spent an hour and change talking about DC, which it's great because like there have been some good productions, like great
They just
products
haven't been
coming
able to
out,
string it together.
string it together, and it's like now we feel like, hey, I don't know if you are in agreement with this, but with what they've built here, we can really branch out this iteration of the Batman universe and do some cool
Yeah,
shit like outside of just the
yeah, like the
movies and stuff.
Reeves verse
Yeah,
could be dope. Like, and another is like almost in terms of tone and feel, it really does feel like that's the early Scott Snyder run
yeah.
of the New 52, which is the best, the hands down best part of the New 52 run of all the DC stuff, outside of maybe the Azzarello Wonder Woman arc.
Oh, that was some good stuff
That
there.
was some dope shit. That was some dope shit.
Yep.
Oh my god, there was so many splash images in that. I'm like, I cannot believe they haven't done that with Gal Gadot. Can't believe it.
Yep.
Like the thing with when she takes the gauntlets off, and
You
it's
know, it's
like
off.
they're not to protect me from the world. They're to
Yeah.
protect the world from me. And then she opens her eyes, and it's full on. Basically, she's Zeus and just fucking laying waste to everything. Can't believe they haven't done that. It's such a cool shot. Like it would be so cool. They'd get shit on for being, a riff off of, Ragnarok Thor, but like that comic came first.
It did.
A lot of DC shit came first.
It
Okay,
did.
so people and DC is just kind of behind the eight ball with the audience there because they took so long to get to their cool shit. But
Yeah.
speaking of DC stringing stuff together, that teaser before the movie, did you get the hey, this is what's coming in 2022?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Like with the Flashpoint stuff, the
Yep.
Aquaman
Yep.
stuff. I'm
Mega
like,
Man stuff.
man, and then 2023 they've got Shazam.
Yep.
Ooh man, they got something cooking here.
So wait, I thought Fury, and for some reason, I thought Fury of the Gods was coming out before the year was over
It
this
was
year.
supposed to, but because they pushed the Batman,
Okay, it was the Batman that
Batman
created.
should have been last year.
Yeah.
The first trailer does say 2021.
Yep.
And then they pushed it to 2022 because of COVID,
COVID.
which Aquaman was always going to be 2022. Flashpoint, I think, and honestly, I thought Flashpoint was the one that would get pushed. But
Yeah, because
apparently
the
it came
Ezra Miller
together quite
stuff, and
well.
yeah,
Apparently
yeah,
it came together, which
because it
gives
sounded
me
like
hope.
yeah, because it sounded like for a while there that they weren't even going to they were going to pull Ezra Miller off of the project,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden we hear like Affleck's back, Keaton's back. You're like, oh
And
shit,
I
like
think
they're
part of that is the reaction to the Snyder cut.
the Snyder Cut
I think
probably.
they
Yeah.
realized when they were doing the Snyder cut and Snyder was like showing them, hey, this is what it could have been. And I think
Yeah.
that got the actors kind of like re energized in the roles, like re engaged both the actors and the executives to be like,
Yeah.
no, let's go do the thing.
Yeah.
Plus, Aquaman, like I said, Aquaman is going to be this year, but pushing Batman, I think, was like, we can wait on Fury of the Gods.
Okay.
Oh, and Black Adam.
Black Adam comes out this
Black
summer.
Adam getting done. Like, that was another one of those, where's it going to fall? But like, man, those four movies are going to be very interesting to watch in very
Yeah.
different ways.
I think I'm going to take a very conservative approach to Black Adam, like I did with
Yeah,
the
I don't
Batman.
know how they're going to do Justice Society,
No.
but it looks damn accurate. Like it looks, Doctor
mean,
Fate straight up
Fate.
looks like Doctor Fate. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit, it's Pierce Brosnan as Doctor Fate. Are you kidding me?
Well, and hold on, Adam Smasher's uniform is pretty legit looking
Yeah,
too.
and the Hawks, right?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! Like, what else are they going to do? Is Jay
Yeah.
Garrick going to show up?
I mean, how can you not have a flash? How can you not have
You
a
need to have a
Flash?
Flash. Like you need with Ezra Miller, like clearly wanting to stay Barry Allen. You need to start building out the Flash family. Get
Yep.
on that shit stat because it is so core to his identity as a character. You
Yep.
need to start building that Flash family.
Yep.
You have to.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's I was very happy where we're starting with this year with the Batman. we've got a lot coming up, man. We've got, Doctor Strange in the summertime.
Hmm.
A few months later, we have Thor
Thor: Love and
4.
Thunder. God, I can't
Man,
wait for a trailer for that.
but
Are
where's
you?
a trailer for that, man? I need a trailer for
I
that.
don't know. Like, are they waiting to drop that from once Moon Knight's out?
That's in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah,
20, yeah,
31st
31st.
or the
So
24th. Hey, no, Halo's a
let's
week before. So it's Halo's
Halo, yeah,
24th.
yep.
Moon Knight's the 31st. They're a week apart.
I should know this because I the other day I tweeted out all this content and its dates, but yeah,
And
you're right.
Ruffalo's starting to pick up the soft marketing for She-Hulk. So
Yeah,
like clearly that trailer's coming soon.
yep. So okay. I mean, tickets for Multiverse haven't even gone on sale yet,
Exactly.
and
So I
we're
don't
two
think they'll
months.
put out a trailer for Love and Thunder until they're in the final push for Doctor Strange.
Range. And probably tickets will go on sale probably around Moon Knight's time at the end of this month. You
I would
know,
think so because
that's
that's about
40
five,
days
6 weeks.
before. Yeah, 6 weeks. Yep. So that makes sense to just get that push in. Um, but I mean, like, yeah, I need a Thor 4 trailer. I need Love and Thunder. I just like that's probably the one outside of No Way Home I've been anticipating the most
Right. Like
because
coming off
I,
of how good Ragnarok was. Like, and Taika's still, coming back as the director. Like, clearly Hemsworth's still having a ball, and he got
yep,
fucking jacked to
yep.
play Hulk Hogan, which we still haven't seen that movie, have we?
No, it had yeah, it has. We haven't even got a trailer for the
For
Hulk
that
Hogan
either.
thing
And he
yet.
got so goddamn big.
Yeah,
Like, I have to imagine he cut back for Thor 4, right? Like,
he had. Well, I
or
think
did
I think
Thor, or is Thor gonna so overcorrect from being, fat Thor that he's just that big?
so. That's what I want to know. Are we just going into the movie with Thor overcorrected, or are we starting with Fat Thor who changes? Like, I need to know. Like, I'm sure that's going to be in the first teaser trailer, and I that's the only part I want to know because it's just it's so comical to me, like how
To go from where we
he's
left him to where we
left him.
know Hemsworth in real life went.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Like we know, like from point A to point B, there's some serious like changes that are going to take place, and obviously the Guardians are involved. Gore the God Butcher's involved. Like there's
and
just
Russell
so many
Crowe's
things.
playing Zeus apparently.
Zeus.
Like,
Yep,
okay, I'm
yep.
in.
Like
Like, because Russell Crowe can be a very funny dude.
yeah,
Like, Shane Black, the Nice Guys, he's hilarious.
yeah.
Like, he's fantastic. And playing off Chris Hemsworth, that's going to be great to see.
Well, don't forget the Guardians are going to be there too. So
Exactly. You give that cast and crew Taika as the director. Oh man. Oh man, that's going to be fun.
I mean, because he made fucking Hulk hilarious in Ragnarok.
Hell
Like he
yeah,
was
he
just
made it all hilarious.
oh
Right? Like,
man,
it's going to be
I
so
I need I
fun.
need that trailer. But back to DC, man. Like there's
We're
just
sticking with DC.
Dude, there's just so many things coming up here that I'm very happy that because I know you're probably the bigger DC honk than I am, even
Hmm.
though I'm a big comic book guy. But like I'm very happy that we're getting that kind of that back and forth now, Marvel DC, which is good because that affects the TV shows. And we both said this at this point. HBO Max has really nailed the TV shows at this point,
Yeah.
with Harley
They're letting it all
Quinn,
hang out there.
with Peacemaker, like I'm sure this Batman, this Gotham show is going to be great, because they don't have constraints like they're going to be rated R. I'm very happy for what's coming with DC. I really am, and it started this year with Batman. I was very happy to go watch it. I'm going to go watch it again on Friday night the first with my staff. We're renting out the Draft House. You're a big draft. You like the
Oh,
Draft
I
House,
love the Draft House. I love any of
you
that
know.
kind of like brew house, you know,
And
smaller
speaking
screen,
of,
smaller experience, more
if Ma-
insular.
if a May trip were to happen, we would have to center it around Multiverse of Madness, right?
Oh, for sure.
So,
I'm kicking around ideas for that because it's Cure for Crohn's 5.
yep.
Like I want to do something big for that. Like, is my big thing for that? Hey, my streams, well, from me in Austin, like do party games in person or something. Like when I hit up Jen because I'm definitely gonna ask Jen because it'll be year 5 if her and Jackie can both be around for all 5 years. That'd be fucking awesome.
Sure.
But if we could all do a thing together, whether that be like a Mario Party kind of stream, I think that'd be fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then of course we'd also do a movie. We would do some kind of food, whether it's go out, whether it's cook food, whatever that may end up being. But like, man, I think that'd be fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
because man, if I could do it that weekend of the 20th and 21st,
Yep.
I get to town, like leave Friday, get to town Saturday, stream on Sunday, and then I have the whole week to just fuck off and do whatever. And then next weekend's Memorial Day weekend. That'd be a pretty fun time. I'd have a pretty good time. But it
There you
depends,
go.
like when my doctor's appointments gets made. I don't
Yeah.
know when I'm gonna go up to see my specialist. Last year was June, so I could have made May work last year. I don't know. I just got to see what I want to do because I'm very, very excited about Cure for Crunch 5. I don't know if you can see here.
Yes.
You've been seeing the wood burnings. I got 4 of the 6 I'm going to do pieces done. I got template number 5 ready to go. Doing a Hollow Knight
Okay.
piece.
Look at that.
It's going to be pretty
I know the
dope.
listeners can't see it, but that Hollow Knight is pretty
And then
dope.
I'm going to do a Zelda Majora's Mask dice box, which I'm not going to put up any photos of that until I can send it to Jen, or if I go in person to Jen's house and uh, have her fill it with awesome dice
There you go.
and get some
Collaborative effort
sweet
right
photos.
there.
Yeah. And she'll probably never see this, but I'm also toying with making a dice box of her logo and just like giving that to her as like a hey, thanks for helping with all the charity stuff because it's been a lot. Like I'm trying to add up all the hours. It's at least
Well,
24 hours worth of
you
stream
better
that
hope
she's
she's
helped me
not
with.
listening to this right now.
Oh,
Come
I'm looking at my chatbot right now. I know she's not. So, unless she's like going incognito mode, which would be weird.
That would be weird.
Yeah, that'd be very
All
weird.
right, man. Well, we got a lot coming, man. And I mean,
Heck
like
yeah.
talking about, spending an hour about Batman, like I'm very happy with what we got out of this, and I'm very happy where we're gonna go. Matt Reeves was the right guy to put this new iteration
Mm-hmm.
into his hands, and I'm trusting him at this point, man. I
Dude,
really
as
am.
soon as they said Matt Reeves was the director, I'm like, sold. I'm in. Take my money. That dude's a genius. Like
Yeah, man.
Dawn and War for the Planet of the Apes are 2 of the best movies of the last 22 years since the turn of the century. Like he's that good of a director.
Yeah, he
I'd put
is.
him right up there with Denis Villeneuve for me for like I'm gonna go see whatever that dude makes because it's all gorgeous. Like Nolan is great and has got some awesome highs, but like his later movies, like
Yeah.
the more recent stuff, like man, I don't know. The guy needs to get out of his own way and just bring someone in to do his audio mixing. Because oh my god,
Ah,
it's so bad. Like it's so
yeah.
bad it takes me out of the movies. Like it's bad. Like real bad. Those other guys that I just mentioned, they don't have that in their, what's surrounding them. So, but Nolan's can still do great shit. Tarantino still fantastic. Hateful Eight was phenomenal. So was like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like still putting out those kind of movies. But Matt Reeves is on that level for me. Of anything that dude does, I'm gonna go watch.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they're already beginning pre-production talks about what's next.
I got
Like
to
they have.
imagine WB's clamoring to get him on the phone as soon as watching the box office stuff this weekend with this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's been really good talking about Batman. I hope the people that jumped in on the spoilers haven't had their experience ruined, but hopefully people agree with us. Like this
Yeah.
was a really good Batman movie.
If you're listening live, let us know what you thought. We're gonna have a little post-show reaction as I try to get into some Apex and see if it's gonna run well. And if you're watching over on the YouTube or the listening on any audio services, and let us know what you thought, whether that's in a review, whether that's over on a YouTube comment. You can hit us up at WaferPod on Twitter now. And I'm gonna probably make I might even make a TikTok. Yeah, I might get real crazy and make a TikTok. Put out clips there. Because I know that is like actually a way to grow things. Might get crazy, but it'll be at WaferPod on Twitter, WAFERPOD. Obviously, with the name of the show is our acronym, Wafer, and then Pod. Follow us there. Let us know what you thought of The Batman. And as we get going into March, for a little behind the scenes, looking probably next towards the Halo premiere, which will be
Yep.
March 24th. Of course, given the logistics of March Madness and how that works out, and that Fusion and I are big college sports fans, we'll be dipping in and out of content as like the madness that is March comes down. It's how many games? It's like, 32 games in a weekend and then 16 games, right? Like, it's going to be a very busy couple of weekends coming up, plus conference tournaments this following week. So, content's going to get a little weird, but we'll keep up to date. So, be sure to follow us over at Wafer Pod so you stay up to date. Thanks everyone for hanging us watching live. Fusion, any closing thoughts?
Go see the Batman. Go see it again.
Yes, go see this movie again. This is gonna be the first movie I go see twice in a while.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters Afterlife was the last one, and that was because I wanted to take my dad to it.
Take your
And I'm
dad. And
taking my dad again tomorrow.
you did. Yeah.
We're gonna go catch a movie, get some Premier Pizza, which is a pizza place near me that's actually had 5 presidents eat at it, I think.
Wow.
It had two Bushes, Clinton, Obama. I think
I
Biden
w-
came his '08 run. Biden ate there,
okay.
so he's president now. But it wasn't during this last run. I don't even think Premier was open for business in person during the 2020 run. But
Okay.
yeah, like it's phenomenal pizza joint. Like if you were ever to come up and we went to Algona versus Mason City, 100% we're going to Premier Pizza. It fucking rules. We're like for how small that town is to have a pizza place that good is awesome. So that's what we're going to end today's pod. Talked about Batman, and now we got to wrap it up with talking about pizza. So I'm in a
Oh,
good place, right? Like I had pizza for lunch.
yes.
Like I'm having a great day. And tomorrow I get to go see the Batman again. Fuck yes, what a weekend.
Living life, man. Living life.
So hope everyone who's watching live has a good weekend too. If you're not sticking around for the Apex shenanigans, and if you're listening, or on, wherever you are watching the video or listening, have a good weekend. We'll see you for our next recording. Peace.
Bye.